Hi, everyone. Welcome to our 7th day of our 12 Days of Wellness series here at Ogden Clinic. Today we have a really fun and exciting session, and we have a very special guest here at Ogden Clinic Canview. I will let him introduce himself, and then we'll get started with what we have today.
Yeah, so my name is Matt Naegle. I'm a pediatrician in Ogden at Ogden Clinic, and I'm excited to do some crafts.
Awesome. So today's segment is all about crafting for the holidays. As we know, sometimes we're busy around the house and we're trying to find things for our kids to do while we're kind of running other errands or even wrapping gifts or cooking. So we hope we have a fun crafting idea for you all to complete with your kids. So we have a Christmas wreath that we will be doing today, made out of hands and cardstock. So some of you might have these things already in your home and that are very easy to pull out and create something fun with your kids. So this is what the final product is going to look like. And Dr. Naegle here is going to kind of help us how to put it together. So like I said, all you need is some cardstock, scissors, some decorative pieces. We have bows for presents. We have some cute little just things that you can find at the store, or you could always cut your own things out of cardstock. So all you will do is basically grab a piece of paper like this, and you can trace out your son, your daughter's hand, your hand. We found out that an adult hand is often a little too big, so your kids' hands are perfect. So if you cut one out and then you just kind of trace out a bunch, then it'll be super easy. So you ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right.
So do you alternate dark green, you do whatever you want?
Yes. So you can do whatever colors, even if you have like leftover cardstock at home that you just never use with patterns, you can make it as creative and fun as you want it to be. So yeah, if you want to make it cool, you can alternate green and light green. Or if you have yellows, blues, whatever you want to do. So I'll give you some of these hands. You'll also need some glue, obviously, to glue your hands on there. But in order to start, you have a rim to kind of rim your hands around to start creating the wreath. So this is also very easy to make. This one's already prepped for us to kind of start. But what you'll want to do is take any sort of round object and kind of place it on your paper and trace it around. Anything that's big enough to fit around the whole paper, because you want to have plenty of room to put all your hands around and to make it as abundant as you want it to be. So you'll trace around. You want to go ahead and do that for me, Dr. Naegle?
Sure.
Oh, I guess we don't have a pen.
Oh, we just took it out. I don't, do I have any up here? Yes, I've got one right here.
Perfect. So yeah, make sure you have pens, pencils, however you want to trace. So you can trace around and make your circle for your wreath. So Dr. Naegle is going to do that. And then I'll show you all the next step as to what you do after you create the giant circle on your piece of paper. That is perfect. So you see there's a circle around there, and you're going to want to make a smaller circle. So basically I just took a lid from a cup and put it in the center of that big circle he just traced and put it right in the middle. Obviously it's not going to be perfect, but that's the whole point of crafting. You're doing it for fun and not to be perfect. So you'll just put it in the center, trace another circle. Circle on there.
Yeah. I'll just do it right where it was.
And that's going to create your outline for your wreath. Awesome. So obviously if you're doing this with little kids, anything below the age of 3, you're going to want to help them cut things out or use some safety scissors, which there's plenty of those at the store if you want to teach them how to cut. So I'll let Dr. Naegle start with this. I'm going to cut this other circle out, but I'm going to let him get started with putting the hands around the circle. If you want to just kind of start placing them all on the same side. So what he's going to do is he's going to start putting them on this way and just kind of alternating the colors and making them into a circle. It's a little hard at first and it might look a little funny, but the end result looks great. So just whatever fits best for you and however you see best you can start placing your hands.
So eventually it will look like a wreath.
Eventually it will look like a wreath.
I'll believe you. I'll trust you then.
So during this winter season, obviously there's a lot of things that kind of we want to look for as parents. What are some things as a pediatrician? Obviously you see a lot of kids throughout this time. What are some things that you would like to talk about when it comes to the winter season?
So first and foremost, it's trying to keep our kids healthy and not sick is the biggest challenge. This is the time of year where we see a lot of viruses. That's probably what we're most busy with right now, is seeing all different types of viruses. We've been so focused on COVID-19 during the pandemic, but there's a lot of other viruses out there that also can cause a lot of sickness and worry with parents. So, it's mostly just watching your kids for any potential need for hospitalization and things like that. Dehydration is the biggest cause. We get viral infections and we get concerned about breathing.
Right.
But when kids are sick, they often are unable to eat and drink and be able to maintain their hydration. So watching out for hydration is also really key.
Right.
Yeah. So viruses are what we see a lot of this time of year. I would say that we're not quite out of the woods of COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing a lot of the new strain. You'll see that in the news all the time, the Omicron strain. We're still trying to learn as much as we can about that. So I don't probably have a ton of information to offer other than what we're finding is this new strain has a lot of mutations. It's different,
mm-hmm.
and it appears to not be quite so. The severity of the illness isn't quite as bad with this one, so that's a good thing.
Right.
But that also might make it so that our effectiveness, the vaccine effectiveness, might be a little bit lower. We're starting to see that people who are vaccinated are more likely to get the Omicron variant than they are the Delta variant.
Right.
So we're seeing a little bit of that. So viruses are the big thing that we're seeing right now in the winter season. And I think something else that's interesting too is, during the pandemic, we were so good at quarantining,
and
staying indoors. Our kids were kind of spared a lot of viral infections, during that time. So I think that a lot of our immune systems lost a lot of memory.
Yeah.
And so that's probably a big reason, at least in our household, it seems like one kid gets sick and then the next week the other kid gets sick, and it's just this merry-go-round of viral infection that's going on in our house. So
yeah, that's a really good point, and I think it's something we don't really think about, and I'm sure a lot of parents don't really think about either, where we went a whole almost year and a half just indoors, kind of away from people. I mean, kids were going to school virtually, doing all that stuff, so they weren't really exposed to a lot of these things that we were used to in the past. So I mean, that's very, I guess, normal that you would see that kind of spike in all these viruses.
Yes. Yeah. I think our immune systems will just need a little bit of catch up.
Right.
And once they get caught up, I think we'll be okay and not have quite as many viral infections. But there's just so many other viruses like rhinovirus, enterovirus, adenovirus, parainfluenza virus, and I could go on.
There's so many.
that cause the common cold, cough, nasal congestion, sore throat, so we're going to be kind of dealing with that for the next few months.
Right. Yeah, and all that's just, but I'm guessing it's a lot more heightened now with like the winter months and.
Yeah. As people congregate indoors a little bit more, it's just all it takes is one cough or one sneeze or
right.
Not washing your hands that one time, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, I think it's really, I would guess it's good practice to kind of keep on doing those things that we were kind of teaching people during COVID, wash your hands, keep your distance, especially with kids.
Yes. And, we found that, in our house, we just, whether this is actually beneficial or not, it's not tested in a laboratory setting, but
right.
we try to keep various hand sanitizers throughout the house and just remind kids, hey, go sanitize your hands. We call it goop in our house to make it a little more friendly. So go goop your hands.
Go goop your hands. That's a good one.
So they haven't tried throwing it yet. So that's a good thing, but hey,
how's it looking?
Mine's getting to be a little bit.
That looks good.
More like a wreath.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I like you could really see the difference in the colors on yours.
Yeah.
I like it. So, one of them fell off. So we just use a regular glue stick to kind of stick these on. But again, you just kind of want to follow that path where all your hands are kind of facing the same direction. That way they don't look funny kind of sticking out. You can kind of flip them around and kind of add a little more dimension to it. But it's a lot easier if you just kind of keep them in the same general direction. You could also use double-sided tape if you don't have glue. I know sometimes during the holidays we have a lot of tape in our house. So double-sided tape, or roll up the tape and also stick them on there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to decorate our wreath. Obviously a Christmas wreath isn't complete without decorations, a bow, and all that fun stuff. So again, if you have stuff laying around from wrapping, presents and stuff, feel free to use them on your wreath. And one thing I saw too is a lot of people do this, and they will also kind of take the time to do something a little more meaningful with their kids. Well, they'll sit down and they might write something, they're grateful for during the holidays on each hand, or they might write their names, or you can do a family one where you write everyone's name on your wreath. So however you want to do with your kids and make it memorable, it's totally up to you. So let's start decorating these wreaths.
I'll put my extra hands over here.
All right, so we have all these fun little just kind of trinkets almost. They kind of look like stuff you would put on your tree, but you could also cut things out from the cardstock that you're using, any colors you want, make a star, whatever your kids want to do, you can definitely do. So we're just going to start gluing some of these on, kind of adding on to our wreath.
Okay.
So another thing too is when it comes to like traveling, obviously a lot more families are traveling this year, and that also can really cause some impact on your kids' health. What are some tips or advice you would give to parents when it comes to traveling, or maybe they have a newborn and they're introducing them for the first time, or what are some good tips to kind of keep in mind when you're traveling with your kids for the holidays?
So when talking about air travel, and that's kind of the same precautions. You're going to be around the general public in small enclosed areas. Be mindful of your exposure to other people. Trying to limit the spread of any potential virus is always a good idea. Bringing hand sanitizer along can be really helpful. Whenever going onto an airplane with a child or a newborn, it's always a good idea to bring along, bottles of milk or pacifiers. If there's ever any change in pressure and there's ear problems on the plane, just the motion of sucking, the newborn sucking, can help relieve the pressure. It'll open up the eustachian tube and allow that pressure to equalize a little bit. If your baby is 6 months or older, they can have water. Okay, so you can bring along just a bottle of water even, and use that. That can be really helpful. Let's see. Yeah, and then it's always a good idea to bring along a little bit of Tylenol as well if they do have an earache when they're on the plane. You can give a weight appropriate dose of Tylenol, and that can be a lifesaver in some instances. So
it's good to keep like a little, I guess, travel kit essential for your kids during these times too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So and then if you're traveling by car, always make sure to check the road conditions before heading out on the road. We always want to try to make sure that you can minimize traveling in poor winter conditions, snow conditions. Also make sure it's also a good time to check the weight limits on your children's car seats to make sure that everyone is in the weight appropriate car seat.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I said, I mean, not a lot of people have been traveling in the past couple of months, so I'm sure it's things that you don't really think about doing when you're headed on a long road trip.
Yeah.
What about for kids? I'm sure, maybe we have some kids watching today. There's a lot of winter sports coming up, like skiing and snowboarding and sledding.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want to tell them about staying safe? I know keeping those same safety precautions like you do in the summer when you're out and on your bike are same things you want to do while you're out doing snow activities. What do you want to tell any of the kids watching us today?
So yeah, it's a new season, and with new season, there's a lot of fun, exciting things to look forward to. Skiing, I'm a big fan of skiing. I love to ski myself. So staying safe, making sure that you have all the proper equipment, that it's all been fitted properly, is really important. We want to make sure that if you were to fall, that you have the right protective equipment. I highly recommend the use of helmets when skiing. And also making sure that your other equipment, like your boots, are fitted properly. Your bindings will come off if needed during a crash.
Right.
Making sure that all works appropriately. So, but other than that, it's I think it's a good thing to get outdoors and enjoy
have some fun.
The weather and the snow.
We finally got some snow, so it took us a while.
Yes, yes, it did. Absolutely.
How's it coming along?
It's coming along pretty good.
That looks good.
I'm sure there'd be those that think that it could be better, but I'm going to call it pretty good.
Yeah, I think that looks great. So the last thing that we'll do once you're done with your wreath, this is how you want to show yours to the camera.
Yeah. Oh, should I put the bow on?
If you want to, it's totally optional.
Oh yeah, I need to have a bow.
So this is what mine looks like. We put a little bow up at the top. It'll look super cute. My hands keep falling off. So that looks great.
Oh.
Yeah, the bows might be something you need to use either tape or even staple it on for it to stick, but That looks really good.
I think you're being nice to me.
You know, I think everyone can craft, and the point is we were having fun doing it, aren't we?
That's right.
So the last thing we're going to do is obviously you want to hang up your wreath. So if you have any ribbon laying around, I know I have a lot of Christmas ribbon that I have left over from decorating our tree. So you can use that. You can use string, anything that's going to hold it up. We just got this cute little decorative yarn from the store. So you can use pretty much anything, but you'll just kind of put it in the back of your wreath. I think I have some tape somewhere. Oh. Yeah. So this you can stick on with some tape on the back. You can tie either or not if you want to secure it a little bit more. So that's kind of what I did, just kind of tied a knot. Gives it a little more grip for the tape to kind of hold on. You'll take some tape and then you'll just kind of stick it on there. I like to put double tape just to kind of secure it a little more so it doesn't fall off.
All right.
Kind of stuck it on. Are you going to hang this in your office or are you going to hang it up in the front? I hope you hang it somewhere because I think it looks good.
I'll hang it somewhere for sure.
My bow fell off. So after you stick on your yarn, then it's gonna have a little hook and you can hang it up on your door, over your desk, wherever you want to hang it, or wherever your kids want to hang it. But super fun, super easy to make. You could always, as you could see, it's kind of lifting open with the weight of the ribbon. So you could always just tape the hands together too and kind of create a little more security that way. But I think these look great.
Yeah.
I'm going to go hang this over my
That's a good
office,
idea.
definitely. But there's a lot of different activities that kids can do. You can make a Christmas tree. You can make Santa Claus, so many things. So we will leave the tutorial on how to create these down below in the comments. And I'll also leave down Dr. Naegle's information in the comments as well. How would someone schedule an appointment with you if they're interested?
Yeah, or if they're just concerned about anything, call our clinic. The number is 801-475-3700. You can also schedule an appointment online at ogdenclinic.com. Just come on in, and if you have any questions or concerns, we'll get you taken care of.
Awesome. So that's all the time we had for today. We were going to have a Q&A, but I know you have some things to do. So still feel free to leave some questions down below in the comments if you saw this today or you just need a little more guidance on the craft that we did. But feel free to leave your questions below. We will also be announcing a couple giveaways today from our last live and then the live we have today with Dr. Naegle. So make sure to stay tuned. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you so much for crafting with us.
Thanks, Carla.
Hope you had a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.